Hi. Since the winter 2025 season was such a disappointment, I thought I'd take a moment to talk about some of the new shows coming out in spring that had a first episode that really impressed me. I'm also horribly sick while I'm doing this, so my voice probably sounds terrible. Well, worse than it usually does anyways. Alright, here we go. I've never really gotten into Gundam or Mecha as a whole, but I was actually looking forward to GQX. I'm a real sucker for slick, clean, and colorful character design, and Tomoe Kurosawa is a voice actress that always brings a lot of personality to her characters. And that's really all it takes to get me hyped for a show. It had a very hectic, fast-paced first episode, but it still found some time to present its setting, some cool, moody shots and backgrounds. I really like the way it uses its color palette to evoke the cel-shaded look of 80s and 90s sci-fi anime. And it has a really great sense of scale with its setting and the mechas. And despite its colorful design, it's a show that looks like it'll take itself seriously. I'm not sure I understood everything that was going on in the first episode. That might be because this is my first Gundam in a while, but I'm willing to do my homework and try to follow instead of just being dazzled by the mecha fights. And the mecha fights look great, by the way. My main gripe was with the music, which I thought felt out of place for some scenes. At one point I was wondering if I'd left a J-pop playlist open in another tab. Just some strange choices of soundtrack that didn't always fit what was going on the screen for me. Aside from that, and being named as a result of someone probably falling asleep on their keyboard, GQX really hasn't done anything too wrong so far. First episode was very fast paced, as I said, but I'm sure it'll slow down a little as it goes on and give some more room to Space Kumiko and the other characters, and I'm really looking forward to see more. I'm very happy to have been offered a new way into the My Hero Academia universe after I stopped watching the main show around season 4 when I just kind of got bored of it. Vigilantes looks like a fresh enough twist that I'm actually excited to jump back into its universe. It feels a little darker than the main series, but it also really leans into that comic book aesthetic. Like you'll have little onomatopoeias when someone gets punched, and that really reminded me of the Spider-Verse movies. And then you have the thick black outlines that make the characters really stand out. I think aesthetically it has a lot of personality, and I really like that about it. One of My Hero's strengths has always been the character design for me, so that also very much applies to this show. It's darker in tone, but it still has a lot of the original's humor. And I'm really interested in how the main three's relationship develops. Koichi, the main character, definitely feels like another Deku, and he sounds like him too. And Koichi, he has this really useless quirk, but I'm sure they'll find fun ways to use it. But then you have Knuckle Duster, who I think really stole the show, and he's more of like almost a more unhinged version of All Might, but at the same time also this sort of imperfect mentor character with his own personal crusade he's fighting. And then Pop Step, she was a bit of a damsel in distress in the first episode, but I'm sure she'll get proper development. And I get the feeling that her and Knuckle Duster are going to be fighting over what to teach Koichi. The mystery of the show seems like a pretty standard comic book plot, which I also really dig. I mean, mostly it's the concept of the show that really appeals to me. This sort of team of different kinds of misfits with their own reason for fighting crime and their own different ideals. I hope the scale of the story stays focused and it doesn't end up relying too much on characters from the main show, of which a few have already shown up, and that's fine, it's fun to see them, but I'd be most happy if it stuck to doing its own thing. It's got character, it's got style. I'm really excited to watch more, and I think it's definitely one of the front runners of the season. Witch Watch? This one was another one where I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really know anything about it going in. But I was really surprised. I had a great time with the first episode. Yeah, I'm a fan of airhead witches, the airhead witch genre. You know, things like Little Witch Academia, Flying Witch, those kinds of shows. And you know what, Nico, she doesn't have a large hat, but she makes up for it because she has a lot of positive energy. I think her VA is doing a great job. It's a really cute character. And the other guy, main guy, their chemistry is really cute. I think you could easily imagine the guy to be sort of listless and like stern, be like, oh, stop messing around, we're not allowed to have fun or whatever. But I don't know, he's concerned for her. He joins in on the fun. It just seems like they work off each other really, really well. And honestly, like the gags, they're creative. I was surprised by how fun the gags were. It's like visually as well. I don't know. It's just funny. I genuinely, I think I chuckled a few times while watching it. I feel like if it stays this lighthearted and dorky, you'd really end up loving it. And also it's like 26 episodes, which I was really surprised by. So, I guess we'll be watching this for a while. And hopefully loving it for a while. There you go, yeah. Apocalypse Hotel's first episode was very much a prologue in the sense that not a lot actually happened. It took its time setting up the hotel and its workers, and now that it's set its foundation, it'll start telling what I'm hoping are going to be some entertaining or meaningful stories. I've been rereading Asimov recently, so any anime about robots is going to strike a chord with me right now. And really, there's been so many over the years. I'd lump Apocalypse Hotel together with Planetarium, that old Key show, in the sense that they both talk about robots running a facility after humanity's decline. And while Planetarium was more manifestly depressing with its presentation, Hotel is a more subtle, unnerving feeling looming about watching these robots going through the motions for nothing and nobody. Speaking of the robots, they do have a bit of personality to them. They're expressive without it feeling too cartoonish, which I like. Yachio, the main maid, straddles the line between human and android the most, and even though she's a robot, you can really feel her exasperation at the situation. She reminds me of Watashi from Humanity Has Declined. I like that they're all not just humanoids, and not all of them can talk. It makes sense from like an efficiency point of view, and it's a nice bit of world building as well. The door opener robot is hilarious, and the payoff for his gag at the end of the episode is completely glorious. It's got a lot of nice background art of abandoned and overgrown buildings too. The stage is set for any kind of story it wants to tell, be it depressing or heartwarming. My guess is it'll land somewhere in the middle, become a real time of eve of this generation. While I initially thought Kowloon generic romance would just be a standard office romance with a unique setting, there's actually a pretty compelling mystery being woven into the story. We've already gotten some major hints at where the plot might be going, but there's still a lot left to be uncovered. Also, for some reason, Ramiel from Evangelion is floating above the city. I find it fitting that a Kowloon generic romance very much relishes in invoking that 90s nostalgia with its visuals. The characters have this more dated look to them, the hair and facial proportions of the main two especially. Kowloon City's most lasting contribution to culture is definitely its imagery. Its dank, tight alleys and haphazardly stacked buildings are brought to life beautifully in the anime, again with this really evocative background art. And true to its 90s anime emulation, Kowloon also doesn't mind throwing in some casual fan service of its main character, which I thought I would point out because I know it might turn some people off. I saw some people complaining that it's rushing through the initial chapters of the manga, which I haven't read, and It's definitely been an eventful first episode, but not to a point where I was scrambling to follow. Although I wouldn't have minded a slower first unveiling of the city and its environment. We're very much just thrust into the setting here. The only thing I'm not too on board with is Hajime, the main dude. He seems a little too sleazy to be relatable to me, but at least he has some character, which is never something I'll fault. His counterpart, Reiko, is a lot more reserved in comparison, but her lack of personality seems to have more nefarious causes that are going to be explained later. I hope Kowloon generic romance stays intriguing as it goes along, and doesn't show its hand too early. There's potential for a great little mystery anime here. There's a lot of interesting shows airing this season, and these are just a few that stood out to me and I would recommend you check out. Yeah, that's it. Alright, see ya.